Jack Ebling here with Dan Kilbridge at Spartan Stadium after Mark Dantonio's press conference. Big game this week with Iowa, maybe the biggest game Michigan State's played in a long time, Dan.
Absolutely. Mark Dantonio said it's the best front four he'll see this year, but also a lot of good other players with quarterback Ricky Stanzi, who's been spectacular over the course of his career. So really a big challenge and a tough road environment to play in for the Spartans.
Ricky Stanzi, number 2 in the nation in passing efficiency. I think the best set of receivers I've ever seen with the Hawkeyes. Of course, Michigan State remembers Marvin McNutt from last year, the game-winning touchdown catch. But DJ Koulianos is their career leader. Adam Robinson's done a great job, and one of the top defenses in the land.
Yeah, absolutely. And with those receivers, the Spartan secondary will have their work cut out for them. We still don't know if Chris L. Rucker will be in that secondary. Dantonio was asked about disciplinary action today for Rucker and his reckless driving charge. He said he's not going to answer that. He didn't even take a stab at it. So we don't know. Darquez Denard is still listed on the depth chart as the starter, and I guess we'll have to wait and see for more to come out on that situation.
Keyshawn Martin is listed in an or position with B.J. Cunningham, possible starter, but a lot depends. And my guess is they're going to take it very gingerly with him. They want to be sure they have him for the rest of the year. And looked as if he had a significant ankle or Achilles strain or sprain, something that happened to him after that game. But in terms of what Michigan State needs to do, one of the things they have to do is avoid being rattled by the most hostile crowd they're going to see.
Right, and they've started out slow the past 2 weeks, and the crowd hasn't been much of a factor considering how many Spartans we saw in Evanston, and they were home for the Illinois game. So what they really need to do, I think, is come out and get off to a better start than they have the past 2 weeks. You can't afford to go down by a touchdown or two in an environment like this. So they're really going to have to take the lead early and kind of take the crowd out of it if they want to play as well as they hope they can.
It's an odd situation when you have an undefeated team, ranked number 5 in the country, playing a team that's 2 losses already, and yet the team that has the losses is favored by nearly a touchdown.
And Dantonio said he had no idea. He doesn't pay attention to that, but he did say he understands why they're 7-point favorites with their home crowd advantage. I think a lot of people really aren't ready to buy into the Spartans as a national contender yet. You see analysts mentioning, well, they've only had 1 or 2 quality wins. They don't have the caliber of this team. I think this is a game where really the Spartans can prove they are for real on the national spotlight, or they can prove that maybe they're not ready to take that next step, but they're still very much in the Big Ten race either way. But really this is a game where the Spartans can change a lot of minds nationally.
When you start the season and you are not ranked, and then you move into the rankings slowly, you fight your way up, and now here after 8 games, they're number 5 in the nation and number 3 in the computers. That's 5 spots ahead of Oregon, believe it or not. So Michigan State has proved it to some people, but still you hear last week at halftime, same old Spartans, and that's something that infuriates Mark Dantonio.
It absolutely does, because as he said, they've competed in every game since he's been there. They lost a lot of close games at the start. Now they're starting to win those close games. And what he compared it to was the play of his quarterback. You saw in 2007 when they lost several close games, Brian Hoyer was a first-year starter. The next year they won several close games. Now in 2009, Kirk Cousins' first year, tough start. They lost a few games close. Now this year they're winning those close games with Cousins in his second year as a starter. So I think really he's just saying that they've competed and they're here and they're not going to roll over like some other teams may have.
Mark Dantonio has 30 victories in just over 3.5 seasons at Michigan State. He's tied for the most wins in the first 4 years of any Michigan State coach. He needs 1 more to be the winningest coach in terms of a start, and yet a lot of people still haven't quite grabbed onto that. But I tell you what, with the win over here, he would cement himself in position to be National Coach of the Year. More importantly to him, his team would be in the driver's seat for a Big Ten championship, Rose Bowl berth, and who knows what else.
Exactly. And who could have imagined that at the beginning of the season, just that they'd be in the spot they are right now with a ranking usually reserved for the basketball team in the nation. And I just think, it's pretty remarkable what they've done so far, but they've still got a ways to go, and they know the opportunity they have, so they're going to be hungry for these next 4 games.
And it's the way that it's been done is one of the reasons. It hasn't been a lot of flash, hasn't been a lot of super heroics here until recently with a couple of trick plays, but no great stars in terms of 5-star recruits. You look at the guys who've done the job for him, they're 2- and 3-star guys. People he's developed, and no highs or lows really in terms of the way that Dantonio approaches this. Other than a couple of very memorable press conferences, everything is business as usual, and that doesn't normally attract people, the casual fans.
Right, and it's been consistent all year, and the wins have been consistent as a result of that. And you're right, there's not a lot of flash. It's not something where they have an offense like Oregon or, a defense that's going to shut you down every single play. They've done it as sort of balanced team and a balanced coaching staff, and I think that's really been the biggest key to their start so far.
You can tell that Mark Dantonio's worked for Jim Tressel. There are so many similarities, and that is definitely one of them. We will be back on Friday with our game preview before we head to Iowa City. Jack Ebling here with Dan Kilbridge for SpartanTailgate.com.